Indiana. Thank you very much. But I speak to everyone when I say that the Barrett family has captured America's heart. It is highly fitting that Justice Barrett fills the seat of a true pioneer for women. It's Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Tonight, Justice Barrett becomes not only the fifth woman to serve on our nation's highest court, but the very first mother of school-aged children to become a Supreme Court justice. Very important. Over the past few weeks, the entire world has seen Justice Barrett's deep knowledge, tremendous poise, and towering intellect. She answered questions for hours on end. Throughout her entire confirmation, her impeccable credentials were unquestioned, unchallenged, and obvious to all. Justice Barrett earned a full academic scholarship to Notre Dame Law School, graduated first in her class, and served as a clerk for Justice Antonin Scalia. She was a beloved professor at Notre Dame Law School for 15 years before I very proudly appointed her to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit in 2017. The American people have been profoundly impressed to learn of her achievements, her compassion, her generosity, her faith, and her sterling character. Justice Barrett made clear she will issue rulings based solely upon a faithful reading of the law and the Constitution as written, not legislate from the bench. The equal, impartial, and constitutional rule of law that we enjoy every day in America.
Every day in America, and he went on then to the ceremony, cut number 10.
That we all love. We ask God to give you wisdom and courage. I know you will make us all very, very proud as long as we are loyal to our founding and to our fellow citizens. America's future will be bright, America's destiny will be great, and America's people will forever and always be free. I now ask Justice Thomas to administer the oath. Thank you very much.
I do solemnly swear
I, Amy Coney Barrett, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, President Trump, for selecting me to serve as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. It's a privilege to be asked to serve my country in this office, and I stand here tonight truly honored and humbled. Thanks also to the Senate for giving its consent to my appointment. I am grateful for the confidence you have expressed in me, and I pledge to you and to the American people that I will discharge my duties to the very best of my ability. This was a rigorous confirmation process, and I thank all of you, especially Leader McConnell and Chairman Graham, for helping me to navigate it. My heartfelt thanks go to the members of the White House staff and Department of Justice who worked tirelessly to support me through this process. Your stamina is remarkable, and I have been the beneficiary of it. Jesse and I are also so grateful to the many people who have supported our family over these last several weeks. Through ways both tangible and intangible, you have made this day possible. Jesse and I have been truly awestruck by your generosity. I have spent a good amount of time over the last month at the Senate, both in meetings with individual senators and in days of hearings before the Senate Judiciary Committee. The confirmation process has made ever clearer to me one of the fundamental differences between the federal judiciary and the United States Senate. And perhaps the most acute is the role of policy preferences. It is the job of a senator to pursue her policy preferences. In fact, it would be a dereliction of duty for her to put policy goals aside. By contrast, it is the job of a judge to resist her policy preferences. It would be a dereliction of duty for her to give in to them. Federal judges don't stand for election. Thus, they have no basis for claiming that their preferences reflect those of the people. This separation of duty from political preference is what makes the judiciary distinct among the three branches of government. A judge declares independence not only from Congress and the President, but also from the private beliefs that might otherwise move her. The judicial oath captures the essence of the judicial duty. The rule of law must always control. My fellow Americans, even though we judges don't face elections, we still work for you. It is your Constitution that establishes the rule of law and the judicial independence that is so central to it. The oath that I have solemnly taken tonight means at its core that I will do my job without any fear or favor, and that I will do so independently of both the political branches and of my own preferences. I love the Constitution and the democratic republic that it establishes, and I will devote myself to preserving it. Thank you.
What more could you want, America? I love the Constitution and the democratic republic that it establishes. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, there is now a 6-3 Supreme Court, meaning 6 Republican-appointed members, 3 Democratic-appointed members, but they all do their best. It's just a new court. It's a brand new, call it Roberts Court 2.0. We need to get litigators in cases before it. We need the Alliance Defending Freedom fully funded and in the field. They're 11-0 since 2010. Now I think they're going to be 25 and 30-0 over the next 10 years if you help them. If you go to hughhewitt.com and go to the very top, you'll see an Alliance Defending Freedom banner. Click on that banner. Please be as generous as you can. Make your best gift. Now is the time to go into overdrive. The Democrats threaten they're going to pack the court. Well, maybe that will happen, maybe that won't. But in the meantime, in this brief period, for the first time in my lifetime, when it's a 6-3 court and the brains and all the talent and the majorities are there, contribute to Alliance Defending Freedom. at HughHewitt.com. Give your best gift, $100, $200, $1,000, $10,000. It's at HughHewitt.com, Alliance Defending Freedom at the top, and come right back here. Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to HughHewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
BBC. Lockdown made life worse for 2 in 5 children, NHS report says. So this is the BBC. It's on the left. The NHS is on the left, National Health Service in Britain. 2 in 5 children aged 11 to 16 feel the coronavirus lockdown has made their lives worse. They said their biggest anxieties were about missing school and family and friends contracting COVID-19. Excellent. The media and parents and teachers have successfully scared a generation. They're worried about dying from COVID. Are they worried about dying from a car crash? More likely to. Congratulations, parents. Congratulations, teachers. Congratulations, media. You have truly hurt, damaged a generation. Mental disorders have risen in boys and girls since 2017 and now affect 16% of children. I don't know what happened in 2017, but it's getting worse, obviously. So what's your take on happiness and the lockdown? Happiness and COVID. Do a report card. We've done this, I don't know, every other month. So we've done it now 3 times. This is the 3rd time. A report card from you. I'll tell you how I've dealt with it. I'm a fellow citizen of a lockdown state in a lockdown city. I've ignored it from the very beginning. That's what I've done.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
The polls in our face over and over again telling us that Trump is going to get clobbered on November 3rd. The polls saying he's losing in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Florida, Wisconsin. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, and I could be in denial. Or maybe we're right, that this enthusiasm gap is dramatic. Listen to this data before we go to your calls. There have been 13 re-election events since the president got out of the hospital and returned to the campaign trail. 13. According to the data provided by the Republican Party chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, the president has attracted over 167,000 rally-goers, and a huge percentage of them aren't even Republicans. At Trump's October 17th visit in Janesville, Wisconsin, the RNC reports that 47.5% of the over 13,000 people there said they were not Republicans. At his October 14th stop in Des Moines, Iowa, she said 29.4% of the over 10,000 people were Democrats. At the first stop he made when he got out of the hospital, boy, it feels like 6 months ago. It was, just a week or two ago. He was in Sanford, Florida on October 12th. 24.4% didn't even vote in 2016, and 31.8% were not Republicans. 16.3% were Democrats. Ronna McDaniel told the Washington Examiner, the RNC and Team Trump have the largest political operation in history, built to turn out voters with surgical precision.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Welcome back, America. Remember, early voting is underway. I mean, it's really underway. As they say in Politico yesterday, Republicans are coming over the top. They're turning out everywhere. We need them at Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, to name a few. In North Carolina, Thom Tillis said in the latest poll, he's going to be on the show a little bit later, but you can find out where you can do early in-place voting by going to keepamericaamerica.com. If you're watching on the internet, welcome you, and on Facebook, on Instagram, whether you're listening on any app or you're just listening in the car. Remember, keepamericaamerica.com. When you get to work, before you leave for work, go to keepamericaamerica.com. Find out where your polling place is. Go early. Don't put up with long lines. Let's not wait for the next day to get a vote in. And you Trump people, you got to get up and go. And maybe you've never voted in your life. Maybe you've felt disconnected from politics, but Trump does it for you. You realize he's been battling. It's 15 rounds with the swamp, and they fight back. He won a big one last night with Coney, Barrett. But it's not over. 4 more years and this country will be on rock-solid constitutional grounds. Rock-solid return to what lets people live freely, according to their own desires. Yes, the state has needs, but it does not have to tell you how to use your land. It does not tell you what weapon to own. It does not tell you what to say or when you can say it. Most certainly does not tell you what to believe. But to make that happen, you got to vote. KeepAmericaAmerica.com is sponsored by Job Creators Network. Go there now. We need you to do a little or do a lot, but do your part. Let me check the markets yesterday. They're afraid of Joe Biden. It's the only way I can put it. They're down yesterday 650 points on the Dow. The NASDAQ was down 189 points. The only, I think, NASDAQ stock that did well was Amazon because they report earnings on Thursday, so people are starting to buy into them like they always do during earning weeks for Amazon. But the S&P was down 64 overseas. Everything is red this morning. I have no idea what the market will do today. Even when it's open and I'm on the air, I don't tell you because that gives a bad impression. But what I can tell you is that gold began the morning at $1,901. And Birch Gold is the best place to buy gold. Birch Gold is where you can find it. HughGold.com is where you can find Birch Gold. Hugh, that's my name, H-U-G-H. Gold, G-O-L-D. Or you can text my name, Hugh, to 474747. Get diversified. We're in for a roller coaster one way or the other for the next day, few days. And aftermath, if the election is in overtime in Pennsylvania, boy, Pennsylvania got to vote. Every single one of you Steelers fans, you got to get out of bed and go vote. You Eagles fans, you have to figure out how to go vote. You people who live in Scranton who are tired of hearing Joe Biden talk about you when he's never done anything for you, you got to go and vote. But gold is a good entry point right now, but you can't get it and you can't diversify unless you send my name, Hugh, to text it to 474747. Also, some of you keep asking me about Bishop Aubrey Shine's book, 8 Questions About Race. I had a talk yesterday with Sean Trendy of Real Clear Politics online about, is there a hidden Trump vote? And he thinks it's hidden most among older white males. I think it's in communities of color. You want to find out why I think that, you've got to read 8 Questions About Race by Bishop Aubrey Shines, who is the founder of Conservative Clergy of Color. And you can find that at 8questionsaboutace.com. While you're there, you can buy copies for friends, neighbors, fellow churchgoers, 8questionsaboutace.com. Now, let me play for you a Donald Trump cut from yesterday. He was all over the place. This guy's doing like 1,000 rallies. 1,000 rallies. And here's his key pitch to young people, cut 11.
99.98% of those under the age 50 fully recover, but Sleepy Joe wants to keep the whole country locked down, keep them in their homes while letting rioters and looters run wild. You know, we call these protests, this is not a meeting, we call them protests. You know why? Because the only thing you can do in Pennsylvania is a protest. You can't go to church. You can't pray to your God. You can't be with your pastors, your priests, your rabbis. You can't be, none of that. You can't do anything. You can't go shopping. You can't open your stores. But if you want to protest and burn the hell out of your city, no problem. You can do that. So when I was told a couple of months ago about Pennsylvania and others, Minnesota, we're going to win too. You know, we're going to win Minnesota because We saved Minneapolis. I sent in the National Guard. Took about a half an hour, but we're going to win that. But when you think about it, you can't
Donald
do
Trump on the campaign.
Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. On the economy, Trump and the GOP succeeded in bringing unemployment to all-time lows early this year. Now, even amidst the pandemic, the economy is bouncing back. Your First and Second Amendment freedoms are much stronger as well because Trump has bolstered the Supreme Court and federal courts with strong judges who honor the Constitution. Whatever you think of Trump personally, there's no question. His policies have been good for the country. Join me in voting for a second Trump term. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
And not only did he win the debate, he might have won the election last night. There are thousands and thousands of emails we are getting at freedom@charliekirk.com, and feel free to email us your feedback of swing voters and people in the middle, moderate voters that say, last night gave them exactly what they needed to vote for Donald Trump. If you're still undecided at this moment, you were waiting for a moment like that. I understand that the Malibu and the Manhattan chattering class of liberal elites, or the base of the Democrat Party, no matter what Donald Trump could have done last night, you would not vote for him. Donald Trump could have done an act of a miracle, and they still would not have voted for him. However, last night was all about swing voters. Last night was also about properly motivating the base for President Trump to continue to do well in early voting, where Republicans are doing quite well. So typically in these debates, it's always about style. Politicians stay within kind of a pre-arranged framework. They use their talking points. But the number one thing that politicians are told to do by their handlers and their advisors is do no harm. Don't contradict any other statements you've made. Don't turn off voters, and definitely don't make news that will hurt you in key demographics and key areas.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
The bar was very low for Trump on this debate, and he cleared it magnificently. All he had to do.
The Democrats did themselves in because they kind of, on all the media leading up to it, on all the channels, they had the surrogates on talking about, well, we're expecting the president to come out and hammer us and be mean and nasty and come for us. And I just, blow the expectations away. Just be kind, control. It was a really strong performance in so many ways. Not the least of which was he also controlled the substance. He got in the topics that he wanted to get in. He did bring up the Hunter Biden laptop. He did bring up the corruption issue. He did work his way into those areas that some people had said he wouldn't be able to. And I think that it was just a masterful use of the moment, the opportunity, the demeanor, and the content of the evening. I thought it all worked in his favor.
I'm guessing that if any needle was moved, it was with suburban women who needed to see that he is capable of being controlled, measured, responsible, unemotional. That was really magnificent on his part, that he was able to do that. And look, we've seen him do it before. We know he's capable of it. But the fact that he chose to do it last night, I really do think that there are a lot of people who all they needed to know was Can he do that? Will he do that? Is this a guy, when things get tough, who flies off the handle, or who can be in control? I really do think that he moved that needle. So.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Welcome back, America. Guess where the president is going? Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Maine. Then he's going to Allentown, Lancaster, Johnstown, Martinsburg, D.C., and then Lansing, Wisconsin, Omaha, Nebraska, Vegas. It's just remarkable. He's just going. Why? He has the energy to do so. Where's Joe Biden? Nowhere. Literally nowhere. He's not sitting on a lead, by the way. In these states, they're in the lead. Lots of polling showing dead heats and jump balls in all of the key battleground states. Trump ahead in Florida. Thom Tillis now ahead in North Carolina. He'll join us a little bit. But I love the rallies. Let's talk cut number 12, Joe Biden in Allentown, PA yesterday. Here he plays on a giant jumbotron. His team gets a giant jumbotron erected, and you'll hear Donald Trump cue it. Cut number 12.
My problem is I voted for NAFTA. I'm supporting NAFTA because I think it is a positive thing to do. And I do not pretend to be an expert on international trade matters.
When you ran for president and when Barack Obama ran for president, you both said you would renegotiate NAFTA. You didn't.
Trade agreements like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China, which forced American workers to compete against people who are making pennies an hour, has resulted in the loss of 160,000 jobs.
The president is absolutely right when he says that China has been cheating for 25 years and that Bill Clinton didn't do enough about it, George W. Bush didn't do enough about it, Barack Obama didn't do enough about it.
How exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have?
The rising China is an incredibly positive development for not only China, but the United States and the rest of the world. Rising China is a positive development. It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. We want to see China rise.
China is a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion.
China is not our enemy.
We talk about China as our competitor. We should be helping.
The idea that China is going to eat our lunch is bizarre.
The idea that they are our competition, they're going to beat us, is bizarre.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks.
China's not a problem.
Allowing China into the World Trade Organization, which you supported, extending most favored nation status to China, which you supported, those steps allowed China to take advantage of the United States by using our own open trade deals against us.
No.
Do you think in retrospect that you were naive about China?
No.
Today, we're finally ending the NAFTA nightmare and signing into law the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Very special.
Listen, it's hard to overstate the importance of USMCA. This is the single biggest bipartisan legislative victory for this president and this administration. It is a huge deal.
Wage growth is better than it has been since 2009. That means it is better than it has been for 7 out of 8 of the years that Obama was president.
The new USMCA has powerful protections to keep auto manufacturing jobs. Since the election, we've created 41,000 brand new motor vehicle and parts jobs.
But doesn't he deserve some credit for that? It's better. The USMCA is better than NAFTA.
It is better than NAFTA. I have never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated. I guarantee we're going to end fossil fuel. No more, no new fracking. I'd gradually move away from fracking.
And I think it's critically important on day one that we end any fossil fuel leases on public lands.
But like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping pipeline infrastructure
They want to do the same thing I want to do. They want to phase out fossil fuels, and we're going to phase out fossil fuels.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. I have one final question.
Would you close down the oil industry? Or would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes. I would transition. That is a big statement.
In terms of business, that's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because basically what he's saying is he is going to destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Crowd was going crazy for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania yesterday. Let's keep going on to his next rally, which he held in Lintz, Pennsylvania. Cut number 14.
No, he's going to ban fracking because he has no choice. His party wants to ban it. He's going to ban fracking and deliver an economic death sentence for Pennsylvania and for many other places in our country. And frankly, it affects not just places that frack and oil territory. You know who it affects? Everybody having to do with paying an energy bill. How about the $2 gasoline for your car? That's not bad, right? Remember when it used to be $5.50 and nobody saw an end in sight? We have it to $2 and even sometimes below. At the same time, we saved our great companies, our energy. We're number one in the world now, by far number one in the world. And Pennsylvania is a big, big part of it. In last week's debate, Joe Biden confirmed his plan to abolish the entire U.S. oil industry. I said, you mean no more oil, Joe? Well, that's what I mean. I felt like Perry Mason. You ever watch Perry Mason? That last little, it was always the last minute. I did it. Yes, I did. I was Perry Mason. No oil, Joe? She even said, why did you say that?
Yeah, keep going. Donald Trump in Lintz again, Pennsylvania, cut number 15.
You know, it's funny. I thought it wasn't going to make it, but one thing, unlike Joe, where he goes into a basement, if he loses, and, you know, who knows what happens, right? It's called an election. He should be ashamed of himself because he didn't work. And, no, seriously, he didn't work. One thing, I did 5, 6, and sometimes 7 of these in one day those last few days. And during the regular time, I do 2 or 3. Today I'm doing 3 of these. Tremendous crowd waiting for us at another part. This is the second one. So when they told me that information, you know, you feel badly, but I didn't feel bad because I left it. You know, the athletes, they say, we left it all in the field. It was all left. And I did 6 or 7 that day, 6 or 7 of these. This is not like talking in front of 10 people, right? There's a lot of people here. And I did them from early in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning the next day, which was election day.
He keeps going, cut number 16, Lintz.
Unemployment, Asian American unemployment. Unemployment for young people that didn't have a high school education. They didn't have a diploma. They had a diploma. They had a diploma from MIT where they were first in their class. It didn't make any difference. Women did so great. Women did great. They all reached the lowest levels ever recorded. Since April, we created a record 11.4 million jobs. And under my leadership, we achieved the most secure border in U.S. history. That's beautiful. Walls help. Walls work, don't they, huh? Remember? They said the wall is obsolete. I said, no, wall's not obsolete, and a wheel is not obsolete. Everything else is obsolete. My opponent's insane immigration plan would eliminate U.S. borders by implementing nationwide catch and release. And I actually heard he said, we want to take down the wall. Do you believe this? Take down the wall. We will never let that happen. We got to win this election. This is the most important. We got to win this election. No, they want to take down the wall. His plan, I don't think, you know what? I don't think Border Patrol would let him. Okay, you want to know the truth? I think Border Patrol would say, Mr. President, we're not letting you get anywhere near this wall, Mr. President. His plan would also make every community into a sanctuary city for violent criminals. The Biden-Harris, how do you like Harris? Oh. The Biden-Harris plan would also increase refugees 700%. This was the manifesto that was agreed to with Crazy Bernie and Biden, right? So Biden and Crazy Bernie agreed to we call it the manifesto. 700% increase. The most dangerous places in the world they would come in, 700%. I have a ban. I was criticized for the ban. I said, no, if a country hates us, and if their people hate us, and if they want to do bad things to us, we're going to have a ban. Everybody criticized me, but I won in the United States Supreme Court. And now we don't let them in. If it's okay by the great people of Pennsylvania, we don't let them into our country. We want people that will love us and work with us and be a great help to us. That's what we want. So we have a ban. It was very controversial when I put it in, but it's not so controversial. All you have to do is look what happened the other day in Paris, and you'll see that it's not so controversial anymore. People are very happy that we have it, and we keep a lot of very bad people out of our country. And nobody else would do that. Nobody else would do that, Chris. I guarantee you that. Nobody else would do it. They pledged to terminate all national security travel bans. They want to end the ban. Opening the floodgates to radical Islamic terrorism. No, thank you. I'm keeping the terrorists, jihadists, and violent extremists, those terrible extremists, the hell out of our country, if that's okay.
Now stop. This is my favorite video because they got the Amish men behind the president in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Did you see that? Play that just a little bit more, and you'll notice the Amish guys have all turned up. They probably walked. All right, you see
we
them
invested
nodding.
$2.5
You shouldn't say hell with the
trillion.
Amish guys there. I grew up in Amish country in northeastern Ohio. If you drove up to the Browns and you took Old Route 224, you always had to wait for the carriages to pull over, which they always did. They're very, very nice neighbors, but the Amish guys are there. You shouldn't be using the bad language, Mr. President. But it was a huge crowd. I'll play the Martinsburg rally next hour. I got to talk with my friends from the Alliance Defending Freedom this hour. And the hometown, Orange County, is burning at both ends. At the Nixon Library yesterday, we were throwing flame retardant on the birthplace. We got a great Orange County Fire Department. Thank you, guys. Down in Irvine, in that area, the winds are expected to pick up to 60 miles per hour again today. What's the wind in Orange County like right now, Generalissimo?
Zero
wind. It's supposed to start up a little bit later. Hopefully they're making some containment trenches right now. And hopefully they've got enough relieffactor.com. Time for me to do this. Inside the Beltway, where fire isn't a problem. Fiery rhetoric last night from a sad Chuck Schumer, but not fire. He was so upset, crying Chuck. That's what the president called him, crying Chuck. Got my Karen Kirkman reverse Omega. That's the first relief factor of the Amy Coney Barrett era. I feel great. 6-3 Supreme Court. Got to write a piece for the Washington Post today about one of the areas in which this new court will matter a lot, which is the checking of the administrative state. You know, I'm always careful to make sure to tell you exactly about relief factor the right way, support for the temporary relief of minor aches and pains, because I want to make sure I'm always honest with you. I don't do it because some bureaucracy is on my shoulder. I do it because I want to be honest with you, and most Americans want to be honest with other Americans. But the regulatory state, it's never honest with you. They always say, oh, sure, we're here to help, and they don't help. Supreme Court, the new Supreme Court, the Roberts 2.0 court is going to change that. But in the meantime, don't change your exercise habits. Get out there, get relieffactor.com, try it, $19.95, get you started, then come back here to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you by Alliance Defending Freedom.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Glenn Reynolds, who writes a column for USA Today, wrote a column about Hunter Biden and his laptop, and USA Today won't publish it? Twitter shuts down the account of the New York Post so they can't even tweet their own article? And people trying to tweet the article get a message that says error? I know I got a message that said error when I tried to tweet it. So big tech, Google, Facebook, Instagram, all against Trump. Hollywood hates his guts. The media have been complicit in suppressing this story and attacking it as Russian disinformation. But the Steele dossier, that wasn't Russian disinformation. Oh, no. John is in St. Petersburg, Florida. John, you're on the Larry Elder Show.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking when you were talking about Adam Schiff, and he was saying that this is all Russian disinformation. And I was thinking, well, you know, the guy that dropped off the laptop was Hunter Biden, so I guess the Bidens are Russians. Is that right?
Apparently so, John. The Russians made Hunter Biden take his laptop. The Russians made Hunter Biden leave it for 90 days, and then therefore became the property of the computer store owner. The Russians made the computer store owner contact the FBI. You know, the Russians, they're amazing. You know, the biggest interferer in our election, not the Russians. The media.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Sydney, where is the case against Mike Flynn?
It is still sitting in Judge Emmett Sullivan's court more than 160 days after the government moved to dismiss it with prejudice, more than 50 days after the D.C. Circuit told him to decide it with dispatch, and now approximately 3 weeks after the hearing.
Is this just playing for time? You filed that request to have it dismissed. The higher 3-judge panel said it should be. Then Judge Sullivan played another game. How long can this purgatory last? You're the legal professional. How long can this sword of Damocles be held above Mike Flynn's head?
Well, if it runs into next week, I think we're going to have to look at filing another mandamus action. This is just unforgivable.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Huge day for freedom in America. It's the day that Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed the United States Supreme Court. To celebrate, I have ADF counsel Tim Chandler joining us, along with Chase Giacomo, who's an ADF Blackstone Fellow. Welcome, gentlemen. Chase, did you have the great privilege and honor of getting to be bored to death by my lecture this year, or are you an incoming Blackstone Fellow?
You know, I actually attended in 2017, but I had the privilege of hearing you then, Hugh.
Well, Chase, where are you now? Chase Giacomo is a Blackstone Fellow, and it must have been interesting to hear the Blackstone Fellows discussed during the hearings of Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear some of the perspectives that were put out there. But I'm in Kalispell, Montana.
Oh my gosh! What? You do something wrong? You got exiled to Montana?
We're just getting ready for a ski season here, loving the mountains. I'm originally from here, so after the Army and law school, I did everything I could to try to make it home to Montana.
Chase, I actually love Ennis. I love the Madison. I fished at it a couple of times. Tim Chandler, tell us about what Chase and the Blackstone Fellows are all about.
Yeah, thanks, Hugh. It's great to be with you. The Blackstone program is unique in America, and it's designed specifically for Christian law students. We recruit the best and brightest around the country, and it's a fellowship program. And there's really three parts of it. We give them substantive legal training, we give them career development, and there's an integration component where we help them think about their faith and the practice of law together. And we want to prepare them for careers of leadership and integrity and excellence. And really, Hugh, what this is about is it goes back to the Declaration of Independence and the promise that our founders made that this country would be based on the idea that we're all created equal and that we're endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. And the legal system is how we keep those promises to all Americans and protect those rights for all Americans. And so we want these young, rising lawyers to think about that when they're going into their careers and be prepared to not just think about the law as a way to earn money, but as a way to better our society and protect freedoms for all Americans.
It's a great program. I have been lecturing the Blackstone Fellows every summer for a dozen years. Chase, I think we would have done it in person if you were in 2017. This year it was virtual, obviously. What did you take away from the Blackstone Fellows, and why would you urge people to support Alliance Defending Freedom? And there's a banner to do so over at HughHewitt.com, I hope.
Yeah, I would say the Blackstone Fellowship and working with Alliance Defending Freedom was one of the most meaningful parts of my legal education. So much of law school is staring at a book by yourself in the library for long, long hours, reading, these cases from many, many years ago. And the Blackstone Fellowship was this opportunity to get with multiple of my peers from across the country, top law schools, law students, and then have this amazing faculty, people like yourself and Judge Barrett, come and speak to us about originalism and different ways of understanding the Constitution. And it was just kind of this really practical exercise where you could talk about topics and then meet with your peers and discuss them and wrestle with them. Very different from a lot of the law school learning. So I just took away such an excitement for the Constitution, for our country. And like I said, I think it was one of the most meaningful parts of my legal education.
Chase, where'd you do your law?
Yeah, so I did my first year at Notre Dame, which is where I had the opportunity to study under Judge Barrett for constitutional law. And then I transferred to Harvard Law School after that, and I ended up graduating from Harvard in 2017.
Oh, so you actually had Judge Barrett for con law. How was she as a teacher?
She really brought just this high standard of excellence to the classroom. I think everybody really was inspired to make sure that they showed up prepared. And as long as you're prepared and you're respectful, we just had this really great dialogue and discussion where we wrestled with the issues. I would say she most reminded me of my undergrad, my West Point professors, who had this, kind of this idea that serving the country and went ahead of ideology. And so she was just had an environment of learning and just a lot of great discussion. And you were challenged every day in her course.
Tim Chandler, every Blackstone Fellow is a lot like Chase. And I think that's why I love the Blackstone Fellowship. I want to give the phone number. If people want to support this kind of a program, they call 866-359-9644, 866-359-9644, or go over and HughHewitt.com, look for the ADF banner. Tim, how many Blackstone Fellows are there every summer? How long has the program been going on? And are you going to keep it going into the foreseeable future?
Yes, the Blackstone program is such a critical part of the work at Alliance Defending Freedom, and it's been going since 2000. We've had 2,400 law students go through the program now. We're able right now to take about 160 each summer, but I'll tell you, Hugh, we get hundreds of applicants from great students around the country, and we have to turn so many of them away every single summer. It's really a heartbreaking process in some ways, and so your support is so valuable. Our resources really only go so far.
Go to HughHewitt.com, or better yet, call 866-359-9644 and keep people like Chase going to the Blackstone Fellowship where people like Tim and Judge Barrett and myself give them lectures. Chase, I congratulate you on finishing and getting back to Montana. Thanks for your service in the Army, and thanks for your continued support of Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you, Tim, as well. So don't forget, head over to Alliance Defending Freedom. That's the banner at the top of HughHewitt.com, and then come back. More calls as Amy Coney Barrett is now sworn in last night at the White House. We'll continue talking with you on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Portions of the Hugh Hewitt Show are brought to you by Alliance Defending Freedom.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. On the economy, Trump and the GOP succeeded in bringing unemployment to all-time lows early this year. Now, even amidst the pandemic, the economy is bouncing back. Your First and Second Amendment freedoms are much stronger as well because Trump has bolstered the Supreme Court and federal courts with strong judges who honored the Constitution. Whatever you think of Trump personally, there's no question. His policies have been good for the country. Join me in voting for a second Trump term. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
Yeah, okay. What do you say to that, folks? Another reason to vote for Joe Biden, isn't it? You know why they want another 11 million people? You know what it means. You know, this is undocumented. That means people who sneaked into the United States. Illegal. They used to be called illegal aliens. Now it's undocumented. The language change. You want 11 million people who illegally came into the U.S. to become citizens? Vote Democrat. Those of you in Arizona, well, I don't know. I like the senatorial candidate. He's a nice guy. He's a former astronaut. Wow. You want 11 million more undocumented Americans to become Americans? You want illegal 11 million. It's astonishing. There you go. I mean, what's more obvious in terms of the difference? You vote Democrat, this is your future. The United States hangs in the balance in many ways in this election. I don't want to say in all ways because I don't want to dispirit you. So I'll say in many ways.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
This is not a Trump-friendly media outlet, the Daily Beast. Italy did everything right to stop the second coronavirus wave. So what went wrong? As you keep hearing Biden and Obama and everybody say Trump botched the recovery from coronavirus, listen to this. If you turn on the news in Italy right now, you might be forgiven for thinking you're getting reruns from March. Pictures of COVID-only units, field hospitals being erected, exhausted medics, and coffins are again dominating headlines in Italy as Italy comes to grip with a deadly second wave of COVID. Wednesday, the death toll topped 125 in a 24-hour period. For the first time since May, when Italy was still under a draconian lockdown. What's particularly troubling about the return of COVID in Italy is that the country has done everything experts like Dr. Anthony Fauci have been advising. Masks in public places are compulsory, have been for months. Nightclubs have never reopened. Children who are back at school are regularly tested, strictly social distanced. Italy's health ministry released data. 80.3% of the new infections in Italy occur at home, while only 4.2% come from recreational activities. Wednesday, Italy logged over 15,000 new infections. That would be the equivalent of 90,000 new cases in a single day in the United States, which has never been reached. And it's only getting worse. Authorities are concerned that despite all the best efforts to contain the spread, it simply cannot be stopped. For many, according to the Daily Beast, this week, in Italy, the sacrifices that helped during the first round seem lost now, as though they had been made in vain. But Trump! It's Donald Trump's fault! Nice try, you bunch of liars.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
But the president got him to say that he is going to phase out the oil industry, that he is going to phase out fracking. I think he lost a ton of votes in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio and Texas because he's on the record. He said these things.
Right. No, he did, and he was not very artful. The real kind of interesting thing about last night was that it appeared in multiple places in the debate that when it came to whatever the topic was, Joe had 1 point, and he could not get off of that point. There was no nimbleness to his rhetoric to be able to make a follow-up point and then a point that followed that. So he would kind of get stuck in these moments. And when it came to the fracking and the fossil fuels, he even ends up admitting that 11 million jobs will have to leave the economy. It was just a stunning admission at the very end of what was a really good debate for President Trump in every other way. Everybody knows that soundbite on talk radio today will be put side by side with the montage of sound bites that has been on Twitter for a week of him saying, I'm absolutely going to ban fracking. And you won't be able to have it both ways. And yes, Pennsylvania and Ohio, that especially hurt him. They had been making rumblings about making strides in Texas. I don't believe any of that, by the way. I don't think Trump is even nearly in danger in Texas. But for Pennsylvania, which is kind of where the whole ball of wax comes down to, it killed him. That handed Donald Trump Pennsylvania last night, which I already thought was trending in his direction.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
So Joe Biden was starting to run out of steam. 45 minutes, an hour 15 into the debate, you could start to see Joe Biden looking at his watch. He called Donald Trump Abraham Lincoln. He said the poor boys instead of the proud boys. And it was becoming more clear that Joe Biden was metaphorically overheating. President Donald Trump saw an opportunity. And Kristen Welker, the moderator, decided to have climate change be the final topic of the debate. Now, why they frame climate change as an existential threat, which it isn't, to our country and to our planet as a primary concern is basically just pandering to the wish list of the most powerful elites that have their whole life so neatly organized financially, they're looking for another thing to try and spend time and try to make themselves feel valuable in life. Climate change is not a pressing issue for families that can't pay the mortgage and cannot get jobs, cannot send their kids to school. And we're happy to build out the entire issue of climate change, environmentalism, and environmentalism has become a religion of the left. But since they decided to have that topic lapse,
Morning, glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Get out and vote. Vote early wherever you are. You want to find out where to vote, go to keepamericaamerica.com. That's a project of the Job Creators Network, a proud sponsor of this show. I love the JCN. And I want to tell you right now, if you go to keepamericaamerica.com, you will find out where you can vote early in person, which is what I encourage you to do. In Arizona, for Martha McSally and the president. In Georgia, for David Perdue, and in the primary, the other open primary. And for, of course, President Trump. In Michigan, go get John James in the United States Senate. Shake that place up. You know Gary Peters is an absolute Casper the Friendly Ghost. You know he got nothing. He just hangs around the Senate. He's not important. Nobody cares what he says. John James will just soar to the top like he did in his Apache helicopter. Michigan, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Youpers, get out there and vote early. Minnesota, go get Jason Lewis elected. Jason had to go to the hospital. I think, was it an appendectomy? I'm not sure what it was. So he can't knock on virtual doors. Get there. A hernia, emergency hernia. Go vote for Jason Lewis. He's closed. Ohio, of course, is going to go red, but make sure you do it early. We don't want the lines to be long. We don't want to wait all night long for a result. We don't want millions of absentee mailed-in ballots. Go vote early in person. And you can find out the information at keepamericaamerica.com. They're the very best. They're the very, very, very best. Let me check on markets, brought to you by andrewandtodd.com this morning. Yesterday was just an awful day before Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed. I don't know what will happen today. You know, I never predict the market. I look at what happened overseas, and it was a mixed market overseas. Yesterday, everything was red. Yesterday, on Monday, the Dow was off 650 points. I think they caught a whiff of Joe Biden coming. But that is not the right smell. I smell victory in the morning. I really do. I think things are moving very, very, very positively for the president in North Carolina and Florida. I think Pennsylvania is a jump ball. That's why there are going to be like 20 rallies in Pennsylvania between now and Election Day a week from today. NASDAQ was off 189 yesterday. The S&P was off 64. But andrewandtodd.com are doing the busiest business of their life. I had dinner last night. A couple of Salem Radio Network buddies, Dave Centrella, Phil Boyce. I told them Andrew and Todd, they just re-up for another year. They love this show, and I love these guys. I've known Andrew for 22 years now. He's a Bible study guy with me when I lived in California. Andrew and Todd are busier than they have ever been, and they've always been busy. They will handle any kind of mortgage, from a VA 100% loan, no money down, to a FHA, to a conforming loan, to a jumbo. If you're a senior citizen and you want to get a reverse mortgage and get money out of your house, never make another mortgage payment, you got to pay your taxes, of course, andrewandtodd.com. Call them at 888-888-1172. The 10-year Treasury this morning is at 0.8%, down a little bit from Monday. That means the lowest rates in the history of interest rates are upon you. Become a non-occupying co-borrower. Get out there and do that for our friends at andrewandtodd.com. Let me also remind you at Alliance Defending Freedom, we have this new court. I was up too late last night watching Amy Coney Barrett sworn in at the White House, reading and responding to everyone on Twitter. It represents the absolute triumph of constitutionalism, the rule of law, and the tears in Democratic eyes over the fact that the president nominated and a majority of the Senate confirmed and a Supreme Court justice was sworn in was amazing to behold. And they kept saying Merrick Garland. They did not have a majority in the Senate. It's that simple. 17 out of 19 times when the president and the Senate majority have been of the same party and there's been a vacancy in election year, the nominee has been confirmed. Merrick Garland was a Democrat. President Obama nominated him. And before he was even nominated, Mitch McConnell announced there would be no hearings on any nominee. Yesterday was the capstone of Mitch McConnell's career. He has been about this project for the long game, since he came to the Senate. He wanted to get the Constitution, Mitch is a constitutionalist, a rule of law conservative, back to its moorings. And with Justice Barrett, alongside of Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Gorsuch, the Trump judges, alongside of Justice Alito, Justice Thomas, Chief Justice Roberts, you have just a great Supreme Court. And you've got some great liberals who will sometimes join and really underscore the point in Justice Kagan and Justice Sotomayor and Justice Breyer. And sometimes they'll dissent, which is great. They'll tell you what would have happened if Hillary Clinton had won 4 years ago. But it's a huge, huge achievement. And I want more. I want you to vote for Donald Trump because I want to restore the Democratic Republic to what it ought to have been, a republic of freedom. A republic where the administrative state does not bully little people. A republic where free speech is protected, where the Second Amendment is protected, where property rights are protected from regulators. I want religious liberty protected. Now, we got 54 appeals court judges, really 53. The nominee for Judge Barrett went up 2 days ago. I missed it for her, Justice Barrett's vacancy on the Seventh Circuit. So every circuit court seat will be filled. Anyone who still takes senior status, by the way, can have Donald Trump fill their seat within 6 weeks, I think. But I want a second term for Donald Trump for this reason. The military is strong and getting stronger. The military footprint of America's troops abroad is shrinking to where it absolutely is necessary. Our weaponry is advanced. Our nuclear arsenal is being renewed. Our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine Coast Guardmen are being paid better than they ever have before. Our veterans are being taken care of. We are safer, more secure, and prosperity is coming back, roaring back. And if you elect Joe Biden, I just got to remind you what was said at the debate Thursday night, cut number 2.
One final
Would
question.
he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
Oh, I see.
Here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do give it to solar and wind.
We
and
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Because
We have
basically
one
what he's
final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then I have.
I love that statement. Let's play it again because this is the election. Transitioning from the oil industry. What a nightmare. They can't even roll out a website for Obamacare. Can you imagine a group of Biden-Harris bureaucrats at the EPA and the Department of Energy issuing orders on how to transition from the oil industry? Let's play that again. Cut number 2.
One final
Would he
question.
close
It
down
falls.
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
It
down the
falls.
oil
By
industry?
the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the
Stop
deal.
right there.
That's a big
Now let's go to Donald Trump in Martinsburg yesterday. Cut number 18.
Just a few hours from now, the Senate will vote to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court. That was a good choice, wasn't it? I've never seen any. I'm glad she's not running for president. I'd much rather go against Sleepy Joe. Much easier. Now she's fantastic. A fantastic person, fantastic woman, a great student. Her professor, her great professor at Notre Dame said, and he's been teaching a long time, a lot of great legal minds he's taught. He said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. That was good enough for me. That was a highly respected person. He's a highly respected man. He said, sir, she's the greatest student I've ever had. Judge Barrett is one of our nation's most brilliant legal minds. She'll defend our rights, our liberties, and our God-given freedoms. And you saw that.
A couple of dummy Democrats were asking, why is the president in Martinsburg, West Virginia? He's going to carry West Virginia by 75%. Because it's a Pennsylvania media market, meathead. Pennsylvania media market. The stuff I see on Twitter, people do, they didn't know what a coyote was during the debate. They thought a coyote, they really meant a coyote. Well, they have no, what's he doing in West Virginia? He's going to win that. Is that in danger? No, he's in Martinsburg because it's a Pennsylvania media market in a key part of Pennsylvania. In fact, he spoke directly to Pennsylvania. Cut 19.
Decade after decade, vote after vote, Sleepy Joe Biden has betrayed Pennsylvania. You know that. He repeatedly tried to cut Social Security and Medicare. You didn't know that until a week ago when we started showing you the clips. And that was Bernie Sanders is the one that exposed him on that. Now, after years of economic treachery, he wants to ban fracking, and he's going to.
And then cut number 20, again, talking to Pennsylvania voters.
That means no fracking, no natural gas, no coal, no jobs, no energy, no Pennsylvania families being well taken care of. Fracking is saving Pennsylvania families $2,500 a year, at least. And it's saving families all over the country. We are energy independent, and you're a big part of it. And they
listen, Steelers fans, listen, Eagles fans, listen, Pirates fans and Phillies fans, you got to get out and vote. Go vote early. Make sure you vote. Pennsylvania is the key to election 2020.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
But the president got him to say that he's going to phase out the oil industry, that he is going to phase out fracking. I think he lost a ton of votes in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio and Texas because he's on the record. He said these things.
Right. No, he did, and he was not very artful. The real kind of interesting thing about last night was that it appeared in multiple places in the debate that when it came to whatever the topic was, Joe had one point and he could not get off of that point. There was no nimbleness to his rhetoric to be able to make a follow-up point and then a point that followed that. So he would kind of get stuck in these moments. And when it came to the fracking and the fossil fuels, he even ends up admitting that 11 million jobs will have to leave the economy. It was just a stunning admission at the very end of what was a really good debate for President Trump in every other way. Everybody knows that soundbite on talk radio today will be put side by side with the montage of soundbites that has been on Twitter for a week of him saying, I'm absolutely going to ban fracking. And you won't be able to have it both ways. And yes, Pennsylvania and Ohio, that especially hurt him. They had been making rumblings about making strides in Texas. I don't believe any of that, by the way. I don't think Trump is even nearly in danger in Texas. But for Pennsylvania, which is kind of where the whole ball of wax comes down to, it killed him. That handed Donald Trump Pennsylvania last night, which I already thought was trending in his direction.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
So Joe Biden was starting to run out of steam. 45 minutes, an hour 15 into the debate, you could start to see Joe Biden looking at his watch. He called Donald Trump Abraham Lincoln. He said the poor boys instead of the proud boys. And it was becoming more clear that Joe Biden was metaphorically overheating. President Donald Trump saw an opportunity. And Kristen Welker, the moderator, decided to have climate change be the final topic of the debate. Now, why they framed climate change as an existential threat, which it isn't, to our country and to our planet as a primary concern is basically just pandering to the wish list of the most powerful elites that have their whole life so neatly organized financially, they're looking for another thing to try and spend time and try to make themselves feel valuable in life. Climate change is not a pressing issue for families that can't pay the mortgage and cannot get jobs, cannot send their kids to school. And we're happy to build out the entire issue of climate change, environmentalism, and environmentalism has become a religion of the left. But since they decided to have that topic last, Joe Biden was the least alert, the least prepared to interface on this topic. And so this topic started around whether or not climate change was an existential threat. President Donald Trump, I thought, handled it perfectly. Lowest carbon emissions in 30 years, 1 trillion trees planted. He went through the whole list.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt bringing you to work in the morning. Getting you there. You might be working from home and taking a break listening to the Hugh Hewitt Show. Great to have you. Let me play for you. I don't normally play for you grabs from CNN or NBC. Why? Because I think most of the news is completely corrupted. I mean, I think it's shattered its credibility. They're not covering the Hunter Biden scandal. They're not covering the Joe Biden scandals. They're not covering anything. They're not covering Joe Biden, what it means to transition away from the oil industry. My God. What it means to transition from the oil industry, the economic devastation that would portend. That's your job. 1-800-520-1234. I'd like to know what you think transitioning from the oil industry means to you. 1-800-520-1234. But I want to play you two reports. Here is CNN reporting from Pennsylvania about what transitioning from the oil industry means for Pennsylvania voters. Cut number 21.
Well, that's right. And voters we spoke to in Western Pennsylvania are still pretty confused on the former vice president's position, whether it's what Donald Trump is saying about Joe Biden or Joe Biden's lack of clarity. Voters are looking for certainty right now. And this is critically important in Western Pennsylvania, where fracking is king. It's helped boost home prices, boost median incomes, and provided thousands of jobs. We traveled to Allensburg, Pennsylvania, and we spoke to voters there in this very small town, particularly business owners, who say they will not survive if fracking does not exist.
President Trump has a more clear perspective on keeping fracking going with minimal regulations, where Biden in the past and through the campaign has kind of gone back and forth on what he wants to do.
It's almost like a domino effect, and it could just be disastrous in my eyes if first a pandemic and then fracking is banned.
Now, Joe Biden has cleared up his stance since he made those comments at the debate. He says he doesn't want to ban fracking. He just wants to ban it on public lands. But I should note that in Western Pennsylvania, most of the fracking is actually done on private land. But you heard from that small restaurant owner there that she's really dealing with a 1-2 punch. She's dealing with the pandemic, which has forced some layoffs in fracking, but also in this uncertain future about the fracking industry as she's hearing from these candidates. The majority of voters we spoke to say they will be supporting President Trump this time around because they do feel like his message is a little clearer and will be good for their livelihoods and their future. John?
This is amazing to me. That was on CNN. That's like hearing CNN announce there are people who go to church in the United States. They're just so divorced from reality these days. NBC News followed up. They had a report from Nevada, a Nevada bookstore owner who is for Trump because of the lockdowns that Joe Biden wants to continue have forced her out of business. Cut 22.
For a long time to come. You know what? He's right. Although there's one thing that was missing in his speech. It's something that's been missing from a lot of conservatives I see writing about the election. Something else that Mitch McConnell and the institutional Republicans.
We meet Myrna Donato at the used bookstore she's owned for nearly 40 years. So you're calling it quits?
I'm calling it quits. Our wonderful governor shut us down for 2 months, and a small business cannot survive with being shut down for 2 months.
Your customers must be
They're devastated, as I am, because some of my customers go back 39 years.
Myrna told us she's voting for President Trump.
I really believe that he has America's best interest at heart, and he wants to keep the small businesses going. He knows what it's like to make payroll.
He is, I just think that you've got the networks out there covering they see the polls, they think Biden's going to win, but then they know this turnout means nothing is certain. Travis in Lewiston, Pennsylvania. You got a minute, Travis.
Good morning there, Hugh. One thing that I wanted to talk about with Pennsylvania
is, I think that it's crazy to see. Yesterday, I tuned into the Lidditz rally, and there was Amish in the front row.
Yep.
The Amish are coming out to vote for President Trump. Almost 100,000 Pennsylvania Amish. It's crazy to see this happening. These people have never voted. They've never been political, and they see what we are about to lose, and they want to hold on to it.
Well, they love religious liberty. The Amish go back to Wisconsin v. Yoder when they decide they have a very agrarian lifestyle. They believe in children not being mandatorily educated after 8th grade, and they won in the Supreme Court, and they love Amy Coney Barrett, and they love the Trump judges in the McConnell courts, and they're going to vote to protect it, as you should, America. Get out and vote. Go to keepamerica.com to find out where early voting is open, and go and vote.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Kamala Harris has referred to the Black Lives Matter movement as a beautiful movement. Yeah, there's some knuckleheads. Yeah, there's some people that set fire. There's some things. Yeah, there's some people that shoot. But by and large, it's a beautiful movement for racial solidarity based upon a narrative, and that narrative is that the police are engaging in systemic racism against black people, that the police are killing black people because they are black people, not because they've done something bad, not because a cop reasonably thought that this black person was posing a threat. No. They were doing it just because this suspect was black. And so a movement based upon a false narrative, there's no evidence whatsoever that that's true, is a beautiful movement, even though it is causing people like the gentleman who shot 2 L.A. sheriff deputies in the head to do so, even though it motivated a gentleman in New York to kill execution style 2 cops, even though it motivated a gentleman in Baton Rouge to kill execution style 3 cops, even though it motivated a gentleman in Dallas to kill 5 cops, execution style. It's a beautiful movement. Never mind what used to be called the Ferguson effect, now it's called the Minneapolis effect. And these are cops admitting that they pull back. Why be proactive? Why try to stop crime? Why try to intervene fights? All you're going to do is put yourself in jeopardy of being accused of engaging in systemic racism. So to hell with it. We'll just deal with radio calls. It's called the Ferguson effect, at least it used to be. Now it's called the Minneapolis effect. You know what happens? Bad guys know it. And as a result, street crime goes up.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
We've been told for days now, for weeks now, that this is a Russian influence operation. It's not Hunter Biden's laptop, and this is another version of Russian collusion by the Trump campaign. We now have the evidence. You have the story. The Senate, the Boblinsky is out there. We have the FBI. We have DNI Ratcliffe saying there is no Russian aspect to any of this. John, what should your colleagues, your fellow media moguls and editors-in-chief be doing right now?
They should be going through the same emails I've been going through, that Peter Schweizer's been going through, and Matt Boyle's been going through, and doing the reporting and finding out what went on in Joe Biden, Inc. during the days he was vice president and the immediate afterwards. Remember, this story about China is more than just a family getting rich, though that should be the primary concern we have. The second is that it shows a judgment question. Donald Trump for 20 years has been arguing that China poses an enormous threat to America. Joe Biden was arguing he'd like to make China grow, and it wasn't a threat to America. His family cashed in on it. Then in 2019 and 2020, when the coronavirus came along, he flipped around and came to Donald Trump's way of thinking. So which candidate do you want? Do you want the candidate who was right about China from the beginning, or the one that changed tunes only after he and his family made millions of dollars from China? I think that's the big question that'll be at the middle of this debate tonight.
You're talking about what they should be doing now. What should they be doing with regards to what they said previously about the laptop, John?
They ought to correct the record. They ought to acknowledge that when they went with Adam Schiff's malarkey one more time, how many times has Adam Schiff misled the country the last few years? They should correct the record. They should say, we were wrong, we've been told otherwise, and then they should follow up on the journalism now that they know it's real material and inform the American public. Anything short of that is censorship to the detriment of the American public, the voting public.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
BBC. Lockdown made life worse for 2 in 5 children, NHS report says. So this is the BBC. It's on the left. The NHS is on the left, National Health Service in Britain. 2 in 5 children aged 11 to 16 feel the coronavirus lockdown has made their lives worse. They said their biggest anxieties were about missing school and family and friends contracting COVID-19. Excellent. The media and parents and teachers have successfully scared a generation. They're worried about dying from COVID. Are they worried about dying from a car crash? More likely to. Congratulations, parents.
Welcome back, America. Just catching up on the story of Philadelphia's violence last night. From Philly.com, the Inquirer, police officers fatally shot a 27-year-old black man armed with a knife during a confrontation Monday afternoon in West Philadelphia. An incident that quickly raised tension in the neighborhood sparked a standoff that lasted deep into the night. Late Monday into early Tuesday, police struggled to respond to vandalism and looting along the commercial corridor of 52nd Street, an area that was the scene of clashes between police and protesters earlier this summer. At least one vehicle was set on fire and destroyed. Several police officers injured by bricks, other objects hurled from the crowd. One officer hospitalized after getting run over by a speeding truck. Not what the country needs, another series of riots in Philadelphia. But I return to my question. What do voters think about this quote from the debate Thursday night, cut number 2?
One final
Would he
question.
close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil
falls.
industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
So here's
What
the
I
deal.
love the best there is Kristen Welker. Great moderating job. I told Mark Meadows on the air a week ago Monday that she was going to be great. I've known Kristen for a long time, and she was great. But she was stunned. Why would you do that? You know, it's the kind of thing you look at a teenager who's done a teenager thing. And why would you do that? Why would you transition from the oil? Are you out of your mind? Let's go to Tennessee. Barry. Barry, you're on the Hugh Hewitt Show. What do you think of that, Barry?
Hey, Mr. Hewitt, thank you so much for taking my call.
Great to have you.
What I take from the Biden-Harris ticket is they're wanting to do a Venezuela with us, like a Maduro, and turn us into a beep hole country.
Well, I do not know if we go that far, but Joe Rogan said it's like going for a walk in the woods with a flashlight, the battery of which is dying. It will not end well.
Right.
There you go. Thank you, Barry.
Yes,
Dan
sir.
in Minnesota cold. Hey, Dan, how are you? What do you think of the transitioning from the oil industry comment?
Hey, Hugh. The national suicide. China and all the other countries that still are dependent on oil and producing oil will eat us alive. There'll be no planes, no trains, no trucks.
You're right.
No
It's
gas
national
heat, no-
suicide. It's national
absolutely.
suicide. And Joe
100%.
Biden put his arms around it, hugged it twice, and President Trump underscored it. That's a big statement. Why would you do that,
Oh, yeah.
Kristen Wilkinson? That's everybody in the country has got to know what the real agenda is here. The green extremists, the green extremists will destroy this economy. Hey, thank you, Dan.
Really
Let me go to
destroy the whole
Fred
country.
in Chicago. Fred, how are you? Fred,
How are you?
go ahead, buddy.
Good morning, Hugh.
Good morning.
Before I get to my point about the oil industry, just wanted to let you know another circuit vacancy opened up yesterday on the First Circuit. Judge Juan Torruella passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yes, it's terrible news, but you had mentioned earlier about Justice Barrett's Seventh Circuit vacancy. So
I don't know that, Judge. What's his last name, Fred?
Torruella. It's spelled Torruella. He was appointed by President Reagan. He was still on active status. He originally was appointed by President Ford to the district court. He served in Puerto Rico. He was based in San Juan.
But he is on the First Circuit.
Correct, yes.
Oh, wow. That could flip that circuit. I am quite certain that we'll get a nominee maybe by the end of the day for that. That's great. The White House has a great challenge in front of it. I'm sorry for the judge passing.
Terrible, yeah.
How old was he?
He was born in 1933. He was 87.
Holy smokes! And he hadn't taken senior status?
No, he had not. He had actually now the oldest. He had been an active judge for about 46 years. I think he was appointed to the district court in 74, 75.
I'm sorry for anyone passing. I wonder about people that don't take senior status when they're 75 or 80. I really do. Go ahead, Fred. You got like a minute.
So anyway, about the oil comment. Remember when Hillary Clinton talked about putting the coal industry out of business, and she got so much blowback? I think what Vice President Biden was trying to do was say the same thing, except he was trying to craft it in a more, shall we say, artful way, in a more gentle, softer way. But I don't think it will succeed. I think he will incur the same backlash as Secretary Clinton.
Well, I hope that people understand the reality of what it means for their life. I mean, I just hope they understand that they will have bureaucrats out there, quote, transitioning you from the oil industry, shutting down. Yeah, I got a nephew who runs a Flying J truck stop. All right, that's his job. He loves it. Graduated from college, got a great job, wonderful artist, creative guy. But he found a niche in the Flying J, and he's been there for 20 years, and he's done. He's finished. Every trucker in America knows transitioning from the oil industry. It's a nightmare. Joe Biden is a nightmare for productivity and economic growth. Thank you, my friend. Eric in Maryland. Hello, Eric. What do you think?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
First-time caller, been a long-time listener.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Which part of Maryland?
Williamsport, Maryland.
Great. Good to have you.
Well, I was calling in about the issue with the oil industry. I myself am a veteran. I was a diesel technician in the Army, and I am now out doing the same job. And it's just, nobody even really talks about the little guy as far as the oil industry. All that stuff starts trickling downhill. I mean, my job relies on that oil industry to keep these trucks running, and the whole United States relies on these trucks running.
Did you just hear I just said, maybe you were on hold here. My nephew operates one of the Flying J truck stops. He's been doing it for 20 years. I mean, it's gone. It got like 30 people working for him at that thing. The whole industry of trucking, it's not just I think Joe Biden thinks about an oil well that's spilling oil or something. It's so interconnected. What do you do every day, Eric, as a diesel mechanic? What kind of things do you work on?
We actually work on the trucks and the trailers. We do fleet maintenance for a company that hauls chemical equipment, hand sanitizer, Dawn dish soap, things of that nature.
And that will be gone. I mean, you'll be What will you do if you can't do that? Joe says you can go learn to code.
My whole life and career has been around this field. I really don't have anything else to fall back on. I mean, this is what I've always put my life into. It's my passion. So,
do your fellow workers know Joe Biden is what they call an existential threat to their livelihood?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about it daily.
Hey, Eric, I appreciate the call. I hope you keep the show on at work. Thank you for calling in. Let me go to John in Pennsylvania. Hi, John. Which part of PA?
Altoona.
Oh, so you didn't get rioted last night. Did you see that story?
Yeah, I heard about it.
Just what we need, right? Riots a week before the election. Okay, what's going on?
Well, that was Martinsburg, Pennsylvania that Trump was in last night.
Oh, I thought he was
West
in
Virginia.
Martinsburg, West Virginia, because it's right on the border there. Where's Martinsburg, Pennsylvania?
Outside of Altoona. It's Altoona's airport.
Were you there?
No, but my brother and his daughter were there.
And what do you think? Is Trump surging?
Oh, absolutely. I think the only way that Trump can lose is by the Democrats cheating.
Well, you know, if that's the case, if it's not close, they can't cheat. That was the best-selling book I wrote in 2004. If everybody turns out, are any of their new voters turning out? Are people who didn't support him in 2016 turning out, in your view, John?
Yeah, I believe so. And I think that we've lost very few voters from 2016, and I think we've gained a lot in the black voter, Latino, because of the record that he has now.
And you don't think is COVID hurting him?
No, I think that is possible. It may have hurt him some, but not. I don't think it's much.
Interesting. Well, John, get out there and send. Have you voted yet? By the way, have you voted?
No, I haven't. Hey, before you hang up on me, though, I want to mention that the Steelers are 6-0 now. The only team in the NFL that is.
We did not have Nick Chubb, John. Call me after Nick Chubb runs big Swiss cheese holes through your line. Call me after the next two games, because we're going to see you and take.
Have been defeated.
We will take you through the playoffs when Nick Chubb is back. You got us with Nick Chubb hurt. Oh, you Steelers fans, you're tricky. You're very, very tricky. But we let you through. When you find someone to work the phone for you, we let you through. Dick in Eagle Rock, California. Dick, how are you?
Good morning. I've been concerned about something for quite some time, and that basically is if we eliminate fossil fuels, the unintended or perhaps intended consequences are going to be devastating in this one particular venue that I'm thinking of. Most of our plastics, almost all of our plastics, are oil derivatives.
Sure.
And look around you. Look at all the things that are plastics. Are we going to make smartphones out of wood now? I think this is something that if somebody could research it and get it out in the news, it would be a big thing to maybe.
Yeah, it's like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate, the guy coming on one-word plastics. That is the oil industry. We're going to transition away from it. Thank you, Dick. Rob in Tampa, Florida. Rob, what do you say?
Hey, Hugh. I voted last night with my wife and my 18-year-old son. He came home from college. Well, most of his classes are virtual anyway, so it doesn't matter. So he came home for an extended weekend, and we voted last night. I'm actually driving door, and I want to ask you something. So, you're
breaking up on me, Rob. Start again. You're driving on which corridor?
I-4.
Okay, great.
Great.
Go ahead.
We had 4.5 million. We had 4.5 million people vote for Gary Johnson in 2016 for that nut, right?
Yep.
And then we had 500,000 vote for Jill Stein. That's 5 million votes. Where do you think those votes are going to go to?
Well, I think the Jill Stein votes are going to go to Kamala Harris and the crazy green people. But I think the Gary Johnson votes, because they're freedom people, there's still another libertarian, but the stakes are too high. They should be voting for every Republican. And after you saw the Senate yesterday, they should be voting for every Republican for Senate. Arizona, Martha McSally, Joni Ernst in Iowa, Susan Collins in Maine. You got to vote for Thom Tillis in North Carolina, David Perdue in Georgia, Steve Daines in Montana, John James in Michigan, Cory Gardner in Colorado. You got to get out and vote, America, for a Republican Senate. We need it. James in Pittsburgh, quick one, James. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, what I sense here in Western Pennsylvania is that the press and the Democratic politicians are trying to gin up this fear of the new rise in COVID to prevent people from coming to the polls or going to the polls. I think it's going to be a great concern.
Well, look, people don't have to worry about the COVID at the polls. They got to do normal social distancing like they do at the polls everywhere. Go find out where you can vote in person early at keepamericaamerica.com. That's the way to overcome fear. Do not let fear deter you from voting. We need your votes. Keepamericaamerica.com. Also need to remind you, relieffactor.com. If you are going to have to stand in line for an hour, feel good doing it. ReliefFactor.com works on every joint, on every piece of your body. It supports the temporary relief and the minor aches and pains that otherwise plague your day. ReliefFactor.com powers you through. Take it in the first hour and remind you 2 hours, twice more in the show, right now and next hour. Do not leave home without it. And stay tuned. Alfredo Ortiz, who's the CEO of the Job Creators Network, great sponsor, coming up. We're going to talk about the voting, early voting. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. And if you're going to stand in line, don't forget your ReliefFactor.com. Stay tuned.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
The polls in our face over and over again telling us that Trump is going to get clobbered on November 3rd. The polls saying he's losing in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Florida, Wisconsin. I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, and I could be in denial, or maybe we're right, that this enthusiasm gap is dramatic. Listen to this data before we go to your calls. There have been 13 re-election events since the president got out of the hospital and returned to the campaign trail. 13. According to the data provided by the Republican Party chairwoman, Ronna McDaniel, the president has attracted over 167,000 rally-goers, and a huge percentage of them aren't even Republicans. At Trump's October 17th visit in Janesville, Wisconsin, the RNC reports that 47.5% of the over 13,000 people there said they were not Republicans. At his October 14th stop in Des Moines, Iowa, she said 29.4% of the over 10,000 people were Democrats. At the first stop he made when he got out of the hospital, boy, it feels like 6 months ago. It was, just a week or two ago. He was in Sanford, Florida on October 12th. 24.4% didn't even vote in 2016, and 31.8% were not Republicans. 16.3% were Democrats. Ronna McDaniel told the Washington Examiner, the RNC and Team Trump have the largest political operation in history, built to turn out voters with surgical precision.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. On the economy, Trump and the GOP succeeded in bringing unemployment to all-time lows early this year. Now, even amidst the pandemic, the economy is bouncing back. Your First and Second Amendment freedoms are much stronger as well because Trump has bolstered the Supreme Court and federal courts with strong judges who honored the Constitution. Whatever you think of Trump personally, there's no question. His policies have been good for the country. Join me in voting for a second Trump term. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for trending now on the Charlie.
Welcome back, America. I'm joined now by Alfredo Ortiz on the Hugh Hewitt Show. Alfredo is the CEO of the Job Creators Network. It's a sponsor of the Hugh Hewitt Show, and together we have been working on keepamericaamerica.com, which is the site you go to find out where to vote. Good morning, Alfredo. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Hugh. Thank you very much for having me as usual. I appreciate the time and opportunity to chat with you and your listeners.
You know, I am just telling people almost every hour that we've got to get the early vote out in Michigan, in Ohio, in Arizona, in Florida, in Georgia. And keepamericaamerica.com is very, very helpful. Are you surprised by how many people are turning to it?
No, we're not. I mean, I think, one of the biggest things we saw this year, there was a lot of disinformation that was being put out there. And so we're proud of the site, keepamericaamerica.com, because it really is a site that has the most trusted information and takes, all the bull out of, everything and just gets right down to the facts, tells people what they're looking for, what they need to do for early voting. But I think everybody is engaged. I think both sides are engaged, but when you look at the conservative base, we're up. We're up here. You look at the numbers. I mean, I think in Georgia, for example, already as of today, they have the same numbers as in 2016 as of today. So anything above and beyond that is record-breaking, and we're seeing this across multiple states.
I believe in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio, that's just a few. The early voting numbers are extraordinary. In Florida, the Politico lead was Republicans are coming out of the trenches to vote, meaning it's sort of like a 1917 movie shoot. I am very enthused about this. I don't think the pollsters, either way, can know what's going on when turnout is this large. Alfredo.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And like I said, the mail-in ballots we knew were going to be big, but, we're seeing a lot of the in-person early voting, which is what you and I had talked about, all along of this. We want to see that. We always told people, look, I know people were concerned about COVID, but if you can go grocery shopping, if you could pump gas in your car, you could certainly get in line and go vote. And we're seeing that, and we're encouraged by the numbers. Look, this is what we love about this country, right? Whether you're left, center, or right, voting is our most incredible privilege that we have as Americans. And, being able to cast that ballot, we're just excited to be able to be part of this process, Hugh, and thank you for all you do, to get folks out there as well.
No, we have been emphasizing in-person voting. Now, a lot of people have heard the president warn, and they've seen the horror stories about mail ballots. Last night, a ballot box got burned up in Boston. They had riots in Philadelphia last night. The answer to all that is do what I did. I'm a Virginian. I went weeks ago to the in-person place, stood in line for about 15 minutes, and cast my ballot. Now, I missed the second debate where we're transitioning from the oil industry, but I voted for Trump anyway. It doesn't matter. If you know who you're going to vote for, you can go do it in person, and it's usually awfully convenient, Alfredo.
Yeah, it really is. And I think at this point, almost every state, obviously, their early voting is open. It is available to everybody, whether it is through the mail-in ballot process or in person. We encourage in person so folks don't have to worry about any potential issues with mail-in ballots. But again, a lot of great people in this country, died to give us the liberties to vote. And, we ask people to encourage, their right to do that, go out, again, left, center, right, but, get out and vote. And we're very, very proud of this effort, Hugh. It's one of the biggest efforts, I think, from a get out the vote perspective, having folks like yourself and others of your colleagues, pushing for this, talking about it, and encouraging others to go to the site. Again, it's just an incredible way to find out exactly what you need to do to vote.
You know what an effect of this is, Alfredo? KeepAmericaAmerica.com. I will be talking about it for years whenever anyone brings up the allegation of voter suppression. Because of the Job Creators Network, I have spent 6 weeks telling people to get out and vote early. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. It's like the opposite of voter suppression that we're always alleged to be doing. KeepAmericaAmerica.com is a voter explosion.
It really is. And like I said, when we see the numbers, I mean, we're already easily up probably about 25%, Hugh, versus where it was in 2016. So, again, we're excited to see the numbers, these record-breaking numbers, like I said, in states like Georgia, Arizona. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, we're up 60, 70%. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And, you do look at people's interest and engagement in this. I'm just excited to see it. Look, this is truly the greatest American process and watching it all live and unfolding is just fantastic.
But we got to run through the tape, which we will. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. Martha McSally yesterday, who really wants people to get out and turn out to vote early in Arizona, she said she's going to run through the tape. I know Thom Tillis is going to come on next hour. In fact, he's my next guest is running through the tape. Everybody who wants to help them, go to KeepAmericaAmerica.com. Alfredo Ortiz from the Job Creator Network, great sponsor. Thank you, my friend. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. I got a lot of interesting stuff coming. I got Thom Tillis, I've got John Cornyn, and I have Howard Hamm. Howard Hamm runs Continental Resources, huge energy company, and I wanted to talk to him about transitioning away from the oil industry. Honest to goodness, what a dumb thing Joe Biden said. And you have to take it seriously because Kamala Harris believes it like nobody's business. So 60 Minutes said, you're the most liberal member of the Senate. She doesn't need the oil industry. I do. You do. If you go anywhere any day that you're not walking, you do. KeepAmericaAmerica.com and keep the dial turned to the Hugh Hewitt Show. I'll be right back with Thom Tillis, America. Stay with us.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
And not only did he win the debate, he might have won the election last night. There are thousands and thousands of emails we are getting at freedom@charliekirk.com, and feel free to email us your feedback of swing voters and people in the middle, moderate voters that say last night gave them exactly what they needed to vote for Donald Trump. If you're still undecided at this moment, you were waiting for a moment like that. I understand that the Malibu and the Manhattan chattering class of liberal elites, or the base of the Democrat Party, no matter what Donald Trump could have done last night, you would not vote for him. Donald Trump could have done an act of a miracle, and they still would not have voted for him. However, last night was all about swing voters. Last night was also about properly motivating the base for President Trump to continue to do well in early voting, where Republicans are doing quite well. So typically in these debates, it's always about style. Politicians stay within kind of a pre-arranged framework. They use their talking points, but the number one thing that politicians are told to do by their handlers and their advisors is do no harm. Don't contradict any other statements you've made. Don't turn off voters, and definitely don't make news that will hurt you in key demographics and key areas.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
The bar was very low for Trump on this debate, and he cleared it magnificently. All he had to do.
The Democrats did themselves in because they kind of, on all the media leading up to it, on all the channels, they had the surrogates on talking about, well, we're expecting the president to come out and hammer us and be mean and nasty and come for us. And I just, blow the expectations away. Just be kind, control. It was a really strong performance in so many ways. Not the least of which was he also controlled the substance. He got in the topics that he wanted to get in. He did bring up the Hunter Biden laptop. He did bring up the corruption issue. He did work his way into those areas that some people had said he wouldn't be able to. And I think that it was just a masterful use of the moment, the opportunity, the demeanor, and the content of the evening. I thought it all worked in his favor.
I'm guessing that if any needle was moved, it was with suburban women who needed to see that he is capable of being controlled, measured, responsible, unemotional. That was really magnificent on his part, that he was able to do that. And look, we've seen him do it before. We know he's capable of it. But the fact that he chose to do it last night, I really do think that there are a lot of people who all they needed to know was, can he do that? Will he do that? Is this a guy, when things get tough, who flies off the handle, or who can be in control, I really do think that he moved that needle. So.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Glenn Reynolds, who writes a column for USA Today, wrote a column about Hunter Biden and his laptop, and USA Today won't publish it? Twitter shuts down the account of the New York Post so they can't even tweet their own article? And people trying to tweet the article get a message that says error? I know I got a message that said error when I tried to tweet it. So big tech, Google, Facebook, Instagram, all against Trump. Hollywood hates his guts. The media have been complicit in suppressing this story and attacking it as Russian disinformation. But the Steele dossier, that wasn't Russian disinformation. Oh, no. John is in St. Petersburg, Florida. John, you're on the Larry Elder Show.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were talking about Adam Schiff, and he was saying that this is all Russian disinformation. And I was thinking, well, the guy that dropped off the laptop was Hunter Biden, so I guess the Bidens are Russians. Is that right?
Apparently so, John. The Russians made Hunter Biden take his laptop. The Russians made Hunter Biden leave it for 90 days, and that therefore became the property of the computer store owner. The Russians made the computer store owner contact at the FBI. The Russians, they're amazing. The biggest interferer in our election, not the Russians. It's the media.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Sydney, where is the case against Mike Flynn?
It is still sitting in Judge Emmett Sullivan's court more than 160 days after the government moved to dismiss it with prejudice, more than 50 days after the D.C. Circuit told him to decide it with dispatch, and now approximately 3 weeks after the hearing.
Is this just playing for time? You filed that request to have it dismissed. The higher 3-judge panel said it should be. Then Judge Sullivan played another game. How long can this purgatory last? You're the legal professional. How long can this sword of Damocles be held above Mike Flynn's head?
Well, if it runs into next week, I think we're going to have to look at filing another mandamus action. This is just unforgivable.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. On the economy, Trump and the GOP succeeded in bringing unemployment to all-time lows early this year. Now, even amidst the pandemic, the economy is bouncing back. Your First and Second Amendment freedoms are much stronger as well because Trump has bolstered the Supreme Court and federal courts with strong judges who honor the Constitution. Whatever you think of Trump personally, there's no question. His policies have been good for the country. Join me in voting for a second Trump term. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Dennis Prager Show.
within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
Yeah, okay. What do you say to that, folks? Another reason to vote for Joe.
One final
Would he
question.
close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
It
down the
falls.
oil
By the way, I
industry?
would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a big
because
statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
Morning glory, America. That is the debate clip heard round the world, heard in every state, especially heard in the Tar Heel state, where Senator Thom Tillis from the great state of North Carolina joins me this morning. I'm Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway. Thom Tillis, are you back in North Carolina campaigning after voting for Amy Coney Barrett yesterday?
I'm headed out there in about 2 hours, Hugh. I'll literally be all over the state for the next 7 days in Greensboro and Wilmington, and then back to Charlotte today, and then back out tomorrow.
Well, the latest poll I see has you up 2 points. I can't believe Cal Cunningham's within 10, given the disasters that have befallen his campaign. But let me start with the good news first. You got to vote for Justice Amy Coney Barrett last night. How much does that matter to the people of North Carolina?
It matters a lot, and it was a proud moment. I tell you, the people of North Carolina want judges who are originalists, they're textualists, and then Amy Coney Barrett just did an extraordinary job on the confirmation hearing. People in North Carolina want her there, and I was proud to cast my vote for her last night.
Now, the second thing is, what did the people of North Carolina think about Joe Biden's vow to transition away from the oil industry?
I think they see it for what it is. I mean, Joe Biden's saying whatever he thinks he has to get elected, but the factor is he's on record as saying that he would shut down fracking, he would shut down drilling, he would shut down the Gulf of Mexico. That would destroy our current position as an energy superpower. And I think those people, and then he says, well, it's not going to be for 30 years. Well, that starts now. And it would destroy it, and it would happen much sooner than he thinks, because he would cut the legs out from underneath the industry. Then we go back to the Middle East, relying on energy from the Middle East. That Europe will increase their dependence on Russia. It's a bad strategic move, and it's a horrible economic move. It would crush millions of jobs in this country.
Senator Thom Tillis, I had a diesel mechanic call this morning from Maryland. He's never called the show before. He's listened forever. I'm drive time in Maryland, so people are listening. And he said, we're out of business. I did this in the Army. It's the only thing I've ever done. You can't do this. But they intend to, and I guess they're supposed to go code.
Right. I tell you, I just think everybody really needs to look at what the candidates are saying, and everybody needs to understand what this president has done. The economy, our military ascendancy after 8 years of cuts by the Biden administration, the opportunities that people had for blue-collar workers, first among them, increased under this administration. And the closing argument is, do you really want to go back to the failed policies of a Biden administration, or do you want to continue the extraordinarily helpful policies under President Trump and the Senate majority?
We also have to focus on what candidates are not saying. Your opponent, Cal Cunningham, ran as a character candidate, as a great soldier, as a servant of the public. And he's gone silent since his first affair was revealed, which happened this summer during the campaign in his own house. I hate to bring this up. I think about the family. But he will not answer any questions about a second or a third affair. Am I right about that, Senator Tillis?
You're absolutely right. And he's also being untruthful about my record. He says that I voted to cut military salaries. The fact is, we've had historic ones when I was the chair of the personnel subcommittee that put the mark forward to allow that to happen. He said that we haven't helped veterans. The Veterans Administration is in the best shape it's been in decades. So he's not being truthful. He built a whole campaign on truth and honor. He's been untruthful and dishonorable. He's under investigation by the Army. Best case, he gets a letter of reprimand. Worst case, he gets court-martialed. That is not the kind of person that we want representing North Carolina in the U.S. Senate.
So what has the North Carolina media done with this story? Was his strategy of simply going to ground That's what he's done. He's gone to ground. He's not answering it. Is it working in any way? Is it keeping him competitive just by disappearing?
Well, I think he's trying to just do no more damage. But the media, to be fair, the News and Observer, the Charlotte Observer, the Raleigh and Charlotte papers have withheld an endorsement, and they have gone after him because one of the few times the liberal media ever becomes objective is when you lie to them or you refuse to answer questions, and he's done both. You have to keep in mind, when he first apologized, he said, I was guilty of an inappropriate text. He knew at that time that he was guilty of an adulterous affair with the wife of a wounded warrior. And then he waited until he got caught to tell the full truth. And then we find out the truth a couple of weeks later that he had a second affair. This is not the sort of person, this is an integrity. This is fundamental to the integrity of Cal Cunningham. And it is not something that a U.S. senator should be walking in. No U.S. senator should walk into the chamber with this record of dishonesty and dishonor.
Now, Senator Thom Tillis, you got a great record. You've done very well by North Carolina. But it's a big state. It's got a lot of mountains in it. You got to go up to, I like to joke with my friend that she lives up in a hollow in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina. She's way out in the western part of the state, one of my old high school friends, and they love it out there. But how the heck do you get around that state in a week?
Usually in my pickup truck, which is my happy place, but we move. I mean, we're moving all over the place. It's about almost 600 miles from Murphy to Manteo, and we'll do it several times this week. We'll get out to the people. We'll make our closing argument, and I think it's an argument that gets us elected on November 3rd.
President coming to North Carolina this week?
I believe we will. The vice president will be back several times. The president will be back at least once, if not twice. And by the way, Hugh, if anybody wants to know more about our race and what I stand for, I really do encourage them to go to votetillis.com to understand what's at stake in this race. And please get out. They've got to get out their friends to vote. We turn out, we win.
Now, tell me about early voting in North Carolina. Is it still possible or is it closed? It's shuttered in some states. I don't know what the information is in North Carolina.
Early voting through Saturday. So every day this week up until Saturday, you can vote early. I'm carrying my absentee ballot to the polls. My wife and I are voting tomorrow, and I encourage everybody to vote early. You don't know what's going to happen on Election Day. What you do know, if you cast your vote today, it's going to be counted.
So I'm with you on that. I keep telling people to go to keepamericaamerica.com for information. Does votetillis.com have North Carolina information on it?
votetillis.com.
Okay. Now I want to close by talking about the money. The dark money is not given up on Cal Cunningham, though the Army has and veterans have and the military and North Carolina has and center-right people have. Dark money is not given up on him. That's Bloomberg money. How's your fundraising going?
Right now we're almost at the $250 million mark. I think it's top $245 million. And the majority of that, the spread's very different. We had a 2-to-1 disadvantage in 2014, but they are pouring in dark money. It's Soros money, Steyer money, Bloomberg money, elites from California, elites, the hedge fund managers from New York. They're pouring it into this race. And we've got to look beyond that. That's why it's so important that people go out and just understand the stark choice they have between Thom Tillis and Cal Cunningham. It's not even close.
Well, Senator, how in the world, what's left to buy? There isn't a quarter. I mean, there isn't enough media to buy. People tell me that my Christian radio station affiliates down there have got Cal Cunningham ads on. It's the most ironic and disconcerting thing because they know about his affairs, but he's bought everything. What's left to buy?
There's very little left to buy. That's why you got to get boots on the ground. You go to digital, but there's almost virtually no inventory on broadcast or cable that can be purchased. $250 million in a state of 10 million people. And you see over $150 million in South Carolina, a state of 6 million people. And then you got Sheldon Whitehouse and all these Democrats going to the floor saying, we've got to get dark money out of the race. I said, that kind of resonates with me because you guys invariably have more.
I want to close by thanking you for going up to the Judiciary Committee, helping get Justice Barrett through that, and then voting for her yesterday. It is a great day for the American Constitution. I'm sure North Carolina patriots, people who love religious liberty, free speech, and their Second Amendment rights understand what Thom Tillis did for him yesterday.
one of my proudest moments. I was happy to be there. I love serving on Judiciary Committee, and I know that we've confirmed a justice that's going to make my two granddaughters very proud when they open up those pocket cards that Amy Coney Barrett signed for me that say "Dream Big." She's going to make them and dream big, and a lot more people are going to view her as an inspiration for decades to come.
Senator Thom Tillis, back to the campaign trail with you. Thanks for joining me. We'll check in maybe on Monday or Tuesday of next week. Great American, great senator, great opportunity, North Carolina. Get out and vote early. Go to votetillis.com. Go to keepamerica.com if you got to figure out whatever state you're in. We want the vote to be enormous. We want people who haven't voted in 40 years to understand they are part of a wave and that they've got, look, it's going to destroy polling's reputation forever if this comes to pass, the big upset again. But it is indeed possible, but you have to do your part. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. Go out and vote today. Come right back here. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
But the president got him to say that he is going to phase out the oil industry, that he is going to phase out fracking. I think he lost a ton of votes in places like Pennsylvania and Ohio and Texas because he's on the record. He said these things.
Right. No, he did, and he was not very artful. The real kind of interesting thing about last night was that it appeared in multiple places in the debate that when it came to whatever the topic was, Joe had one point and he could not get off of that point. There was no nimbleness to his rhetoric to be able to make a follow-up point and then a point that followed that. So he would kind of get stuck in these moments. And when it came to the fracking and the fossil fuels, he even ends up admitting that 11 million jobs will have to leave the economy. It was just a stunning admission at the very end of what was a really good debate for President Trump in every other way. Everybody knows that soundbite on talk radio today will be put side by side with the montage of soundbites that has been on Twitter for a week of him saying, "I'm absolutely going to ban fracking." And you won't be able to have it both ways. And yes, Pennsylvania and Ohio, that especially hurt him. They had been making rumblings about making strides in Texas. I don't believe any of that, by the way. I don't think Trump is even nearly in danger in Texas. But for Pennsylvania, which is kind of where the whole ball of wax comes down to, it killed him. That handed Donald Trump Pennsylvania last night, which I already thought was trending in his direction.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
So Joe Biden was starting to run out of steam. 45 minutes, an hour, hour 15 into the debate, you could start to see Joe Biden looking at his watch. He called Donald Trump Abraham Lincoln. He said the poor boys instead of the proud boys, and it was becoming more clear that Joe Biden was metaphorically overheating. President Donald Trump saw an opportunity, and Kristen Welker, the moderator, decided to have climate change be the final topic of the debate. Now, why they frame climate change as an existential threat, which it isn't, to our country and to our planet as a primary concern is basically just pandering to the wish list of the most powerful elites that have their whole life so neatly organized financially. They're looking for another thing to try and spend time and try to make themselves feel valuable in life. Climate change is not a pressing issue for families that can't pay the mortgage and cannot get jobs, cannot send their kids to school. And we're happy to build out the entire issue of climate change, environmentalism, and environmentalism has become a religion of the left. But since they decided to have that topic last, Joe Biden was the least alert, the least prepared to interface on this topic. And so this topic started around whether or not climate change was an existential threat. President Donald Trump, I thought, handled it perfectly. Lowest carbon emissions in 30 years, 1 trillion trees planted. He went through the whole list.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Mitch McConnell on the Senate floor last night, underscoring the capstone of his career. Look, he's got a lot of great years ahead. But Mitch McConnell, before the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett, rose and said this, cut number 8.
The process comports entirely with the Constitution. We don't have any doubt, do we, that if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd be confirming this nominee. And have no doubt, if the shoe was on the other foot in 2016, they'd have done the same thing. Why? Because they had the elections that made those decisions possible. The reason we were able to make the decision we did in 2016 is because we'd become the majority in 2014. The reason we were able to do what we did in 2016, 2018, and 2020 is because we had the majority. No rules were broken whatsoever. So all of these outlandish claims are utterly absurd. And the louder they scream, the more inaccurate they are. You can always tell that. Just check the decibel level on the other side. The higher it goes up, the less accurate they are. Our Democratic colleagues keep repeating the word illegitimate, as if repetition would make it true. If you just say it often enough, does it make it true? I don't think so. We're a constitutional republic. Legitimacy does not flow from their feelings. You know? Legitimacy is not the result of how they feel about it. You know, you can't win them all, and elections have consequences. And what this administration and this Republican Senate has done is exercise the power that was given to us by the American people in a manner that is entirely within the rules of the Senate and the Constitution of the United States.
That is so key. And Chuck Schumer saying this was one of the worst moments in the Senate. He forgot the Alien Registration Act of 1940, which paved the way for Franklin Roosevelt to intern Japanese American citizens. He forgot the Alien and Sedition Act of John Adams' tenure, which allowed the arrest of newspapermen. I mean, he forgot the filibuster of his Democratic colleagues against the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There have been a lot of low moments in the Senate. Last night was a great moment in the Senate. And I need you, America, to go out there and vote for a Republican Senate. It is absolutely the bulwark of liberty in the country. That means, as Thom Tillis was just on, Thom Tillis in North Carolina, I mean, David Perdue in Georgia. David Perdue's ahead of the kid, whatever the kid's name is, I can never remember. It means going out and voting for Susan Collins, who is a terrific senator from Maine. She is in the middle of the caucus. She is in the middle of the Senate. She is the most influential Senate member. And Susan Collins is beloved by Maine because she does take care of Maine while she exercises her constitutional obligations. She represents Maine. Go out and vote for Joni Ernst in Iowa. Iowa, your livelihood is on the line. You know what ethanol means. Transition away from the oil industry. Oh, my gosh. Get out and vote for Martha McSally in Arizona. Let me check the market. The market, yes, are brought to you by andrewandtodd.com. They are with Sierra Pacific Mortgage. They lend people money. The housing market is explosively hot. You have to get pre-qualified before you try and buy a house. You have to. So you got to go out and call Andrew and Todd at 888-888-1172 or go to their website, andrewandtodd.com, answer a couple of questions. The 10-year Treasury remains at 0.8. Yesterday was a terrible day on the market. The Dow was down 650, NASDAQ down 189, S&P down 64. Only Amazon did well yesterday because they're coming up on earnings on Thursday. They'll probably have a great week this week. A couple other tech stocks. But I'm telling you, never been a better time to buy a house or refinance your house. And you can do that at andrewandtodd.com. Come right back. I'm going to be joined by one of America's great oil entrepreneurs. Harold Hamm of Continental Resources joins me next, America. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Glenn Reynolds, who writes a column for USA Today, wrote a column about Hunter Biden and his laptop, and USA Today won't publish it? Twitter shuts down the account of the New York Post so they can't even tweet their own article? And people trying to tweet the article get a message that says error? I know I got a message that said error when I tried to tweet it. So big tech, Google, Facebook, Instagram, all against Trump. Hollywood hates his guts. The media have been complicit in suppressing this story and attacking it as Russian disinformation. But the Steele dossier, that wasn't Russian disinformation. Oh, no. John is in St. Petersburg, Florida. John, you're on the Larry Elder Show.
Yeah, I was just thinking when you were talking about Adam Schiff, and he was saying that this is all Russian disinformation. And I was thinking, well, the guy that dropped off the laptop was Hunter Biden, so I guess the Bidens are Russians. Is that right?
Apparently so, John. The Russians made Hunter Biden take his laptop. The Russians made Hunter Biden leave it for 90 days, and that therefore became the property of the computer store owner. The Russians made the computer store owner contact the FBI. The Russians, they're amazing. The biggest interferer in our election, not the Russians. It's the media.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
Sydney, where is the case against Mike Flynn?
It is still sitting in Judge Emmett Sullivan's court more than 160 days after the government moved to dismiss it with prejudice, more than 50 days after the D.C. Circuit told him to decide it with dispatch, and now approximately 3 weeks after the hearing.
Is this just playing for time? You filed that request to have it dismissed. The higher 3-judge panel said it should be. Then Judge Sullivan played another game. How long can this purgatory last? You're the legal professional. How long can this sword of Damocles be held above Mike Flynn's head?
Well, if it runs in the next week, I think we're going to have to look at filing another mandamus action. This is just unforgivable.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Hugh Hewitt for townhall.com. The 2020 election is now just days away. Here's my short case for backing the Trump-Pence ticket and voting for Republican senators and representatives in your state. On the coronavirus pandemic, Trump has done as well as any president could have done, and certainly better than Joe Biden. You're safer and more secure because of the Trump military buildup. The president has made the necessary pivot with China, and he's brokered the first major peace deal in the Middle East in 25 years. On the economy, Trump and the GOP succeeded in bringing unemployment to all-time lows early this year. Now, even amidst the pandemic, the economy is bouncing back. Your First and Second Amendment freedoms are much stronger as well because Trump has bolstered the Supreme Court and federal courts with strong judges who honored the Constitution. Whatever you think of Trump personally, there's no question. His policies have been good for the country. Join me in voting for a second Trump term. I'm Hugh Hewitt.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people.
Yeah, okay. What do you say to that, folks? Another reason to vote for Joe Biden, isn't it? You know why they want another 11 million people? You know what it means? You know, this is undocumented. That means people who sneaked into the United States. Illegal. They used to be called illegal aliens. Now it's undocumented. The language change. You want 11 million people who illegally came into the U.S. to become citizens? Vote Democrat. Those of you in Arizona, well, I don't know. I like the senatorial candidate. He's a nice guy. He's a former astronaut. Wow. You want 11 million more undocumented Americans to become Americans? You want illegal 11 million. It's astonishing. There you go. I mean, what's more obvious in terms of the difference? You vote Democrat, this is your future. The United States hangs in the balance in many ways in this election. I don't want to say in all ways because I don't want to dispirit you. So.
One final
Would
question.
he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil
By
industry?
the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
Welcome back, America. I wish I had a camera. I'm Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway. I wish I had a camera on Harold Hamm when Joe Biden said that. Harold Hamm is the founder of Continental Resources. He's the executive chairman of Continental Resources. He's an honest-to-God oil man. Harold Hamm, welcome to the Hugh Hewitt Show. It's great to be with you.
Hey, Hugh, good to be with you, and thanks for all that you do. Appreciate you very much.
Tell me what you thought, said, were doing when Joe Biden announced the end of Continental Resources. You're going to be transitioned, Harold Hamm.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was a shock to everybody. Kristen Welker, she didn't know how to act. She was asking, why would you say that? And he certainly didn't mean to say it, but, it just slipped out on him. And, he constantly lies. And here was another one. And boy, he got caught in it. It probably shocked a lot of people that he did that. But, we've been watching his voting record for, the past 47 years, and went back to 1978 when he voted for the ill-fated Carter Energy Plan, the Fuel Use Act that mandated the use of coal only. 100% of anything not good, and they're telling him about all the pollutants that was going to go up in the air with coal, and they prohibited use of clean burning natural gas that time, and it took 10 years to 1987 until Reagan did away with it. But that set the stage for some of the climate issues that we're seeing in China and everywhere else, because they took that coal technology to the extreme. They're putting 300 of those plants in this year.
Now, Harold Hamm, I got to tell you, in the show today, the reason I love doing talk radio, I had a diesel mechanic in Maryland call in. He's working on trucks. And now I'm talking to a billionaire oil man. Everybody at every level of this economy knows that transitioning from oil and natural gas is a nightmare. But I know Oklahoma is going to vote for Trump, but how are you getting the word out? I see your op-ed in the National Review. I see your op-ed in Fox News. I've tweeted them out. Why are you so engaged? I mean, you've made your money, you've made your bones. Why do you worry?
Well, because it's bigger than all of us. This thing is bigger than all of us. What he's against America, and if we do this, it would take America down. We'd put us in a depression. We've had a great economy and peace in the world, and all that goes away. Again, we start fighting for oil, and we swap hard hats for helmets, with our troops. It's horrible what would happen. That's why it's bigger than all of us. It's about America we're fighting for.
In your Fox Business story, you remind us, in September of 2019, we became energy independent, a net exporter of hydrocarbons. That has led, you argue, to peace breaking out all over the Middle East. There's a new order in play. How does that follow, Harold Hamm, that we go from becoming a net exporter to the Abraham Accords? I had Jared Kushner on yesterday talking about them. What's the connection?
Oh, my goodness. All of a sudden, you put the rogue nation back in power. You're beholden to them. You're having to bow to them, whatever they want to do, regardless, because, they've got the power over you with the power of production of oil. And we can't go back there. Everybody remembers what that was. And, it's going to be the end of Israel if we do that.
Harold, I got my driver's license in 1972, and so I had the oil shock. I remember sitting in gas lines, for an hour and a half and getting gasoline on every other day, depending on the last digit in your car license. Now, a lot of kids don't remember that, but they don't really want the Green New Deal. They have no idea what transitioning from the oil industry actually means.
Oh, no, they really don't, and they'll find out real quick. I mean, you go back to an era of scarcity. We have an era of abundance today, with everything that's going on with President Trump. He's done a wonderful job, and industry has done a wonderful job. My goodness, horizontal drilling has revolutionized everything. So it's a great thing. And, he says that we're subsidized. My gosh. Wind and solar is subsidized to the kazoo, but I drilled my share of dry holes. Let me tell you, nobody paid me a dime. You take all the risk and everything. But we're not subsidized.
How many people work for Continental Resources, Harold Hamm?
We've got about 1,340 people.
And how long you been going?
Right now, 53 years. This month.
And so what in the world got you into this business? I've talked to a bunch of people in the oil business over the year. Plains Resources was a client of mine when I practiced law, for example. I've talked to a number of pipeline companies. I've retired now. I don't practice law anymore. I'm just curious, what got you into it? Because it is a hit or miss business. I mean, you can lose everything in 1 year.
You can, but I'd like, finding that needle in the haystack. I thrived on that, finding new supplies of energy. It's been fantastic, finding the immense Bakken play in North Dakota. I mean, for instance, that revolutionized the world. We went from $4.50 a gallon in diesel here in the nation. That brought it down to $2.25 for consumers. So this is all about Americans, and having this supply at home. We got the cheapest gasoline that people are enjoying, heating, cooling your homes. I mean, it's been tremendous what's happened in America.
It's an enormous tax cut. When I lived in California 6 years ago, we were paying about $4.50 to $5 a gallon at Costco. We'd go on Sunday morning. Now in Virginia, I drove down to Charlottesville last week to go to Monticello. I paid $2.15 a gallon. That's a tax cut. That's a huge tax. That's a great standard of living achievement. And Biden and Harris want to raise that price dramatically.
Oh, he wants to get rid of it. It's all political. What they think is, here we are, conservative business people in this business, and they want to get rid of the whole block of us. So they decide to wipe out an entire industry to do it for political reasons. Well, let's see how that works for them. which industry is going to be next? Farmers? I had a farmer call in last week, and he said, if you do away with oil and gas, that's how we make fertilizer out of natural gas. And he said, it's going to double my price of production out here, and I'm going to get half the amount of food to feed Americans. How's that going to work?
Harold Hamm, I think the reason it's not covered well is that the media exists in an unregulated world because of the great First Amendment. I wouldn't change that. I really wouldn't. I love being able to speak without fear or favor. But they have no idea what regulation does. They have no idea how Continental Resources has to jump through hoops to get permitted to build a pipeline. I mean, they really don't. Do you think they have a clue?
No, they don't. They don't have a clue, and it's all political. And a lot of the media is liberal. I don't want to change it. I believe in freedom of speech just like you do, and don't want to change that. But let me tell you, they need to start telling it the way it is for the American people. And, American people are smart. They're going to figure this out. They got Biden figured out. They're not going to go for that. And I don't believe for a minute. We do have to get the word out, and we have to make them understand. Permitting on federal lands, my goodness, that's 25% of the surface in America. You can't do that. And 25% of the production in America. So if you can't permit, you can't drill.
Let's pause on that. You just hit on a big deal. Because I was a land use lawyer, I understand right away. If you can't work on federal land, you're not working in the West. Period. End of story. I assume that's true in Oklahoma and Texas as well. But in California and Nevada and Arizona, if you can't work on federal land, you're done.
You're done. You're done. I mean, Wyoming, my goodness, all the Powder River Basin, very productive area. You can't work there. North, South Dakota, Montana. The west side of the Permian, in New Mexico, that's federal land. I mean, all of a sudden you couldn't permit that? Come on.
I got to finish with the hometown question, Harold Hamm. We got a lot of natural gas in northeastern Ohio. You folks have got to get up there and get that out of the ground. We need the gas boom to come to northeastern Ohio. Are you going to go up there and bring some jobs with you?
Well, that it's been a great play up there. The Utica, tremendous gas play and across Ohio and the Marcellus and Pennsylvania. I mean, those are great gas fields, and the people up there need to remember exactly what Biden's doing. They need to vote right for the president in this. So, yeah, great jobs, and we're talking 19 million people that's affected by this industry.
Last question.
Million.
You've been under a lot of presidents. How do you rank Trump compared to all the other presidents?
Trump is a great president. He gets things done. He's not a politician, boy. He makes some gas once in a while, and this, that, and the other. But overall, he's a great president. He's a great person.
Are you more involved in politics this cycle than you've ever been before?
Maybe, but I've been involved in politics a long time. You have to be in this business, or it's very you just get killed. So yeah, I have been involved a lot in.
Well, Harold, I hope you go out and buy a network. That's what I'd love you to do, because I'd like to have some common sense brought to the media, not through censorship, not through regulation. I just like to have some conservative ownership. Harold Hamm, great to talk to you. Thank you for your articles in National Review. Thank you for your articles in Fox Business. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep making America free, because energy is freedom.
Thank you. Keep getting the good word out. Appreciate
I will do that. Energy is freedom. I wish people just understood that. Energy is freedom, and Democrats do not want energy. They'd rather regulate your life. And when Joe Biden says it, believe it. Play it again for me, please, my friends.
One final
Would he
question.
close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the
falls.
oil
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I would
that's a big
transition.
statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes.
Unbelievable statement. Late in the day. Look, he wilted. Joe Biden wilted. The man's 78. Of course he's going to wilt after 75 minutes. If you're not Donald Energy with this sort of Donald Trump with the energy that he exhibits, I mean, it's quite unlike anything I've ever seen. And he's doing 4 rallies today or 5 rallies today, 17-hour days, and it rolls off his back. not Joe Biden. But we got a glimpse of the real agenda, transitioning from the oil industry. Now, also, the real agenda under the left will be to shut down religious liberty wherever it interferes with their social engineering. That's why you need to go and support Alliance Defending Freedom over at HughHewitt.com. Just let it load at the very top. You'll see Alliance Defending Freedom. Please give your best gift, whether it's $25, $50. We have a new Supreme Court. We just got to keep Alliance Defending Freedom in the field. And right at the top of HughHewitt.com, you will see an Alliance Defending Freedom button. Please be as generous as you possibly, or you can call 866-359-9644. Make your best gift. $100, $500, even $1,000. My final 4 days of helping Alliance Defending Freedom this year. Please get with the program. Also, don't forget, ReliefFactor.com. I took it in the first hour, as I always do. I got one great fan who laughs whenever I talk about my lukewarm coffee and I take my Relief Factor, but I do it every day. And the reason I do it every day is the older they get, the more you got to keep moving. You got to, yesterday I got in, I'll brag a little bit. I'll look at the step count from yesterday. It wasn't great. It wasn't the half marathon that I did on Saturday, which got me to 28,000 steps. Oh, this is today's steps. I don't want today's steps. I haven't gone out yet. Where's yesterday's step? Well, ReliefFactor.com. I think it was close to 14,000. John Cornyn joins me next, America. After you get your Relief Factor, come back for John Cornyn.